Hello, hello. Welcome back to 444 Keys to Wisdom. Thank you for tuning in again. Thank you for supporting. So I have another message here for you. I want to talk to my daughters that had mothers that made a lot of bad choices, especially in men. Or if you notice, I'm talking to daughters who broke generational curses that began with some of the women in their life. And some of those curses had to do with lack of self-worth, lack of healing, lack of self-love, bad choices in men. You came from a line of women who were not able to display their femininity. They were very masculine women who may have controlled a lot. So either way, I'm talking to female curse breakers, okay? You've broke some generational curses over your life. And if you have a daughter, like I do, you've broken those over your legacy as well. So what your mother had to go through, what your mother did, the choices your mother made, the choices your grandmother made, your great-grandmother, you're not... The ones that come from you and after you will not have to experience that because you broke that. You recognize the karmic cycle in your DNA and you switched that, you switched it to off. So it no longer pertains to you. You even may still have people in your family that wants to attach this thought process and this sick legacy to you and say things like, well, the people in our family, how it, no. Do not allow them to attach that narrative to your life anymore when you have broken free. No, the people, the women in your family are like that. That does not apply to me and mine anymore. And you stand firm on that. Because what happened, let me explain to you what someone wants for you. Okay? So, in the dream state, I saw, in the dream state, I was woken up by my daughter, and she was asleep on a couch. I could see her sleeping on a sofa in the living room, but the living room in my dream was not the living room in my home now. It was the living room that I grew up in. Okay. I grew up with a single mom. She was a mom at 16. My dad was not around. Don't really know him very well. We don't have a relationship like that. So I was raised by a single mother in the projects, on welfare, all that good stuff. And I had a little brother that I grew up with. And they're actually both passed on, my mother and my little brother. So I'm pretty much the last man standing in the household that I recall growing up in. But my mother experienced a lot of trauma as a child, very early age, starting at the age of 6. She was raped, molested. All kind of things happened to her. She was raped at the age of 18. Just all kind of just horrible things happened to her that took away her self-worth. She didn't understand her self-love. She didn't understand how to love herself. I also believe that, witchcraft was put over her, over the years, where she just, didn't have a mind to think the way she needed to. She was very controlling and manipulating as well. But those are the things she leaned on to protect herself. And then she, once she overcame a few addictions from her youthful ages, she kind of became addicted to the church, addicted to religion. But don't get me wrong, she was a very powerful minister, very powerful. And she always had a heart for children, and her heart for children was pure. She was a very powerful prophetess as well. But again, not many people believed her. She was kind of an outcast because she could see certain things that many people didn't. And she did die at a very young age. But as she was getting ready to transition, she did start her healing. She started healing process. Unfortunately, she was not able to finish it on this side, sacrifice much, right? That's a whole nother story. But she left here at a very young age of 49. So, but I'm talking to women who have avenged their mother's mistakes. You've avenged the sins of your mother, because I know I have. I recognized a pattern in my life early that I started to repeat and have definitely overcome. And so those things don't apply to me anymore. My life is very different than what most people probably expected, because they automatically expected me to follow. Cut some of that noise, please. They expected me to follow in her footsteps, or they expect, some people just, they expect you to do the same thing or make the same mistakes your parents made, or they just expect you to follow a certain pattern because they believe in that pattern so much. But for me, what people didn't understand is, as a very young child, I was very wise beyond my years, and I observed a lot. And even at, I'm going to say, around age 11 or 12, and I saw my mother being treated a certain way, by a certain man, I would tell her, like, hey, this don't look right. You know what I'm saying? I was very young, but I had the mind of a much mature person, and I used to give her direction and advice, and I used to tell my own mother, like, you got to do better for yourself. This is not cool. You know what I'm saying? This person doesn't love you. He's using you. He's doing this, blah, blah, blah. And of course, I come from a generation where children are heard, children are seen and not heard. So, I got in trouble for a lot of the things that I said, but what I said to her was right. And we bumped heads a lot because of that, because I was telling her the right thing, and she just couldn't understand how someone so young knew better than she did. So when I started seeing those patterns in my own life, it started looking familiar. I would get into relationships or do things, and I was like, man, this feels real familiar, because it don't feel right. And I would realize my mother did this. My mother did this. Oh, I can't do this. This is a cycle right here, and I have to break this. So what do you have to do? You're going to have to do different than your mother did. You have to make different choices. And so I started to do that. And my life is very different than my mother's was. My children are growing up much different than I did. And that's the whole goal, right? But back to the dream I had. But you still got some people, and listen to me very carefully, Empresses. You got some people, and this is either someone in your family or someone that you grew up with. Someone who knows how you grew up. Someone who knows the mistakes and the sins of your mother. Someone who understands the faulty and the darkness that ran through your family. This is somebody who knows of it. Okay. So back to the dream. So in the dream, I'm sleeping in my bed, and then my daughter is laying on the sofa in the living room. But like I said, the living room in my house, this was the living room. It's not the living room in my home now. It was she was sleeping in the living room that I grew up in, which is weird. So she wakes up and she says, Mom, get up. I think somebody done walk through the house. And I'm like, walk through the house? What you mean walk through the house? So I get up, grab my blicky. You know what I'm saying? So I said, stay here and let me walk through. But it looked like the house hadn't been broken into. You know what I'm saying? But I could tell all the locks and the doors had been unlocked. So I said, who got a key to my house? Nobody got no key to my house but me and her, And so I said, somebody got a key to my house. They didn't break in like that. They just walked through the door. They got a key, because I noticed all the locks were unlocked and the alarm system was disarmed. So I'm like, who the heck would have done that? So I look on the counter and I see my wallet. I have a just nice wallet, and it was laying on the kitchen counter open. And all my bank account cards have been missing. All my credit cards have been missing. My driver's license was missing. Everything that's important in my wallet had been removed. And then next to that wallet was a smaller version of my current wallet with not much in it. So I said, so they came in and didn't take anything but the money. They didn't take any items. They just took the money out of my wallet in exchange and gave me something smaller. And then my driver's license was missing, so they just pretty much removed my ID and my financials, and they left everything else. They didn't take no furniture, nothing else. And this was someone that had a key. So I'm standing in the dream confused with my blicky in my hand, like, okay, well, who could that have been? But then all of a sudden I remember It was like in the dream, I was remembering something else, that a man had came into my room and into my bed and put his arms around me and cuddled with me real quick. But it was like some sort of invisible entity was cuddling with me or something like that. And I remember feeling it all of a sudden. I said, hey, wait a minute. I do remember somebody coming in here, sliding in the bed with me and cuddling with me, and then leaving out. So it was him, but there was no identity to the him. Okay, so that lets me know it's an energy. Everything is energy, right? It's an entity, it's an energy. So that's the dream itself. So when I woke up this morning, I said, okay. So I started doing my return to senders. I said, you tried it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever this entity, whatever this energy is that followed through is trying to attach itself to me again, or there's someone who knows where I come from, someone who knows the mistakes and the sins of my mother and my grandmother, someone who very well, this is somebody in my family or somebody I grew up with, is sending energy to me, trying to send an energy to reattach an energy that I've already broken free from. They want a cycle to start again. Someone wants us to make the mistakes of our mother still. Someone wants us to follow the footsteps of our mother. And typically they want to do that so they can sacrifice you. That's not going to happen. Okay. Once that cycle is over, it's over. So if I'm talking to a woman who, again, no shade to our parents. They did the best that they could. They did what they knew how to do. Okay. And many of our mothers were broken and hurting themselves. You know, they were battling depression. They were battling mental illnesses. They were battling, being assaulted in their youthful hood with no help. Okay. The generation I come from was a secret generation. You couldn't tell nobody what somebody truly did to you. You had to hide everything. But you are a woman who has overcome that. You're not experiencing that no more. You saw the pattern that you were following and you've broken it. And you've broken it for a damn good time. You've been out of that cycle for a long time. And your children are not in that cycle. And let me tell you something. You're not going back into that. And your children are not going to experience that. Your grandchildren are not going to experience that. Your daughter is not going to experience that. Okay, I've already broken that over my life. So it's broken over my daughter's life. And it's already physically present and evident that those sins of my mother do not apply to me or my daughter anymore and won't ever, or my sons. Okay. And so, but there's somebody in your life, either someone you grew up with or someone in your family who's trying to reattach this entity to you. They want to reattach it to your bloodline. They want to reattach it to your children, especially your daughters. If you have a daughter or daughters, they want to reattach these sins back to you so that you can follow those footsteps and make the same mistakes. But I'm telling you right now, return to sender 10 times 10. Okay? Your bloodline is clean. It's clear. You are a generational curse breaker. You broke it, and you're not going back into that. Nobody that came from your womb is going back into that. No one that came from your womb is subject to that, as you are no longer subject to that, and you'll never be subject to that again. I'm talking to somebody that had to separate themselves from their family simply because they kept trying to throw this narrative on your life that you knew was not true for you. I'm talking to somebody who has avenged the sins of their mother, their grandmother. Somebody changed the narrative in their entire bloodline. That's who I'm talking to. So you got some sourpuss ass hater somewhere around you that just don't want to believe that you've shaken yourself from that dysfunctional, disgusting, despicable karmic cycle that your family so dearly holds on to. You've shaken yourself from that. They cannot sacrifice you and they're pissed. They don't know why. And what they're going to keep doing is keep going. Let them keep going, though, because it's not going to happen. Let them keep going so they can just go on and sacrifice themselves. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't want to admit that this shit is over. You know what I'm saying? You need to move around. Go somewhere else. Take that somewhere else. They cannot touch you. They cannot touch your children. You've already done the work. You've already broken the bullshit over your bloodline for you and for anybody that came through your body. And any ones that come through your body, the ones that's going to come from their bodies, it's done. It's over with. They cannot reattach that narrative to you. Okay? Somebody wants a man to come in your life for you to be all frilly and free and not know your worth. And you know what I'm saying? So everything that you work hard for, this man is, you're going to give this man the key to your house or your heart or your vessel. And he's going to come in and tear your life apart. You're going to lose everything that you've worked hard by yourself for. This is what someone wants for you. They want you to meet a man and he come in, he steals from you. Okay, right now I'm talking to somebody who's standing firm, who's standing solid, who's worked very hard for themselves. I'm talking to a very independent woman, such as myself, who's can't nobody take credit for what you've done in your life but you. You might have some people out here that talking about, oh, they made it. That's a lie. And if that's true, then let them make another one. If that's true, let them, how about they can't make their life that way? Don't let nobody come in and be like, oh, well, if it wasn't for me, then if it wasn't for you, why your life ain't like that? And if it wasn't for you, if you such a maker, then make another one. So, Empresses, you did the work. You've avenged yourself. You've avenged your mother, your grandmother, and all the sins. You're clean. No man is going to come into your life and take that away from you because you love yourself. You have self-worth. You saw the pattern. You broke it. And so when things like that try to come in your midst, you recognize it for what it is and you know how to make those choices accordingly. So that's not going to reattach to you. You're doing very well for yourself right now. And somebody wants that taken away from you by way of a love relationship, but you're not codependent anymore. Somebody has healed codependency. You're not codependent on a man for anything, for love, for sex, for your validation, for finances. You're not codependent on nobody for nothing. And you understand what true love is. And when true love approaches you, you're going to know what that looks like. But unless it's really real, you're not fucking with it. Whoever I'm talking to, because I know I'm like that. Okay? So I'm just letting you know this is what they want for you, but you have nothing to worry about because your mind has been forever changed. They cannot take your mind backwards. And as soon as you see a man in that vibration, your bells instantly go off. And you be like, nope. You smart, whoever you are. You've learned from your lessons. You're not going to keep going around that certain mountain over and over and over. You've come out of the wilderness and you're in your land of milk and honey, and there's nobody in this world that's going to take you backwards, not even your own kids. Because you fought too hard to get to where you are. But somebody wants someone to come along and take that away. But what the gag is to that is codependent people do that, and that's not you anymore. These are people who don't even know you anymore. Nor have they taken the time to get to know you. These are people that have seen your journey. And they just don't want to believe that you've healed yourself. They mad that you've healed yourself. But instead of focusing on you, they still don't want to focus on themselves. They keep trying to put this narrative on you, but it's not going there. It's dead. It's over. They can't put it on you. And let me tell you something. Your mother is proud of you. Your grandmother is proud of you. Your great-grandmother is proud of you. So keep doing what you're doing. Let them keep wishing all they want to. Somebody wanted to open up a portal in your house from the past. But let me tell you something. That energy is about to return right back to them. I mean, right back. Instantly. Take that somewhere else. Your vessel is not weak anymore like it used to be. And you know who I'm talking. If I'm talking to you, you know who this is, who you are. You had to do a lot of work on yourself and your family and you did it, and you're going to keep doing it, do not go backwards, because that's what they want from you. So whatever energy they tried to project on you from your past is being sent back. If you like the content, like the video, share it if you know someone else that this may apply to, and you be well.